Welcome to Space and Grace, the podcast for soul-led entrepreneurs done hustling for their worth. Let's build a life and business that actually feels like freedom. You've taken the courses, you've mapped out the plan, you're posting, you're delivering, you're staying on, and yet it still doesn't feel solid. Like no matter what you do, it never fully lands. Like you're building a business on wet concrete. And it's not because you don't know enough, and it's not a motivation issue. And it's definitely not because you need a different strategy or funnel. What I see over and over is this: women entrepreneurs who have done everything right, but underneath it all, their system is still bracing for something to break, bracing for the clients to dry up, bracing because they just might accidentally drop the ball. You don't trust that it can actually work without you having to hold it all, without you having to do everything. So rest feels risky. Joy feels indulgent and a little bit uncomfortable. And success feels like something you have to chase or control or earn. And it's not a strategy problem. That's your body protecting you from what it still sees as a threat. Most women I work with don't need more strategy, right? They're already doing all the things. What they need is more capacity. Because when your system is carrying too much, doing too much, even the right strategy just won't land. You'll find some way to talk yourself out of it or slow it down or overcomplicate the crap out of it so it never fully gets off the ground. And that feels like sabotage, but it's actually protection. And here's how it shows up. You might build something like a program or create an offer, but delay talking about it until the launch window that you scheduled is already up. You might hire somebody to help you, but then redo all the work instead. You might spend hours on graphics and tweaking different words and editing things, but avoid doing the one thing that's actually going to make the difference. And that's not because you're unmotivated, and it's not because you're flaky or you don't know what you're doing. It's that your body doesn't trust that you're allowed to have more, that it's safe to have more clients, more money, more visibility, because traditionally having more has meant more pressure, right? More responsibility, more stress. And even though you were able to push and hustle your way to the success that you have now, you don't want to do that anymore. You know that that way of building a business is no longer sustainable. But you haven't yet signaled to your body that it gets to feel different now, that you get to do things differently now, that you're not going to force it again. So it keeps pulling you back. It finds all sorts of ways to stop you from taking the action that's actually going to make the difference. Now, let me give you an example from my own life. I've been podcasting for a while now, and I absolutely love interviewing guests. It lights me up. I love hearing about what they're doing in the world and how they help and who they help and promoting their businesses. It actually feels so joyful to me, and I just love it. But I had to get really honest with myself recently. And I realized that I'd been hiding behind those interviews because as long as I was the host, the person asking the questions, I didn't have to talk about how I can help you. I didn't have to stick my neck out. I didn't have to speak about my work and what I do and who I help and how I help them. I could give value without having to give too much direction. And I could serve, I could show up, and I could be visible, but without being fully seen. And that's not a strategy problem. That's a nervous system regulation issue. You see, my body had found a very clever way of keeping me safe, and it took me ages to catch it. I mean, I've been podcasting for over a year now. And it took me so long because it felt good. Like normally, when I am avoiding taking the action that's going to make the biggest difference, I will overcomplicate things. I'll just get really overwhelmed. Like, it doesn't actually feel good. But hosting guests on my podcast felt really good. And so it just took me so long to catch it. And it gave me an opportunity to be visible without feeling risky. Risky because if I show up and talk about what I do and who I help and how I help them, then it means that I get seen as a guide. It means that I get judged for what I believe in and what I offer. And when I first caught it, I sulked. I had thoughts of like, oh, why does it always feel like there's something else that I need to do? Why does it have to feel so hard? Why can't I just continue doing the really enjoyable thing that lights me up? Why does it always feel like there's another mountain to climb? And so I let myself wallow for a bit. And then I realized that this is the game, right? This is the game of building a business. And I could either feel pissed off and resentful, or I could figure out a way to make it work for me. So I created some structure. I committed to doing an episode a month, just one episode a month, right? I can handle that. I knew that if I went for too many episodes a month, that would freak me out and I'd find even more ways to avoid doing it. So I committed to doing one episode a month. I outlined 12 episodes and I added in personal stories to, I added those into the episode outline so that I knew every month when I went to create the episode that I already know that it makes sense, that it's all aligned, that there's stories in there that I can pull from to help it really land for you. And I added my solo episodes into my podcasting schedule. So those are non-negotiable slots and my guests will be slotted around those solos. So I set up the structure to make it easy for me to actually do what I said I was going to do. And then I wrote and recorded and edited my first episode. And now I'm writing, recording, and editing this episode. And I'm not going to lie, some of that stuff came up again. So I sulked, I wallowed. I couldn't think of anything to say, even though I already had the topic and the stories to go into it. I avoided sitting down and writing the episode because there was so many other things that I could be doing that all felt really, really important. And so what I did, because I recognized that this was just my nervous system trying to prevent me from taking risky action, I gave myself, I put some structure around it. And I was like, right, I'm going to write this episode today. I didn't commit to recording it, although because I'm so excited about what I wrote, I am recording it right now. But I decided that I was going to take Daisy for a walk. I was going to voice note a friend, and then I was going to come home and I was going to finish writing the episode. And that's what I've done. So I created some structure. I gave myself time to kind of ramp up and get into the mood. And then I just did the thing. And I can guarantee that this is going to come up for every other episode. But what I know from personal experience is that the time where I faff around and avoid is going to become smaller and smaller and smaller, because I'm teaching my body that it is safe for me to do this. I'm gently kind of expanding my capacity and my window of tolerance and teaching my body that this is fine. I'm not risking my life. It's all good. And I see this in clients all the time, right? But it's so much harder to see it for yourself. But my clients often overcomplicate things, maybe their offers or maybe their pricing. They'll put in a sliding scale in their pricing for no apparent reason, or they'll discount just for no reason. And so I see this stuff happen. Maybe they start rewriting a sales page again and again and again, but not actually loading it up onto their website. Or sometimes they buy more programs because they don't feel like they know enough, but all they're really doing is avoiding launching the thing that they've already created that is actually really, really good value for their ideal client. And it's protection, right? It's just your body doing everything that it was designed to do to keep you alive and pulling you back from everything that it associates with as being a threat, even if that threat is easy success. Now, one of my clients has a really successful business, but there's an arm of her business, one of her income streams that is quite exhausting, and she doesn't want to do it anymore. So she's mapped out how she can replace her income. So that she doesn't have to do that thing that exhausts her. And this map that she's created, the strategy that she's created, she's going to be able to replace the income, and she's going to do it in a way that's really, really enjoyable to her now. But you can guarantee that rather than actually implement that strategy and start working towards it, she's been avoiding it, right? She's been buying more courses because she's got this dialogue in her head. I'm not enough. I'm too old. I don't know enough. Why would anybody listen to me? So she has the goal, she has the skills, and she's been avoiding taking the action that's going to make the biggest difference. And it makes perfect sense because everything that she's done up until this point, she's survived. It's kept her alive. So why on earth would she want to risk her life doing something new, even if what she wants to do is going to be so much more enjoyable and make just as much money? So does this sound familiar? Have you got stories in your own experience where you have avoided doing the things that will make the biggest difference and you've found any number of excuses to avoid doing the things? Now, maybe you've just stopped, you've just collapsed and not done anything at all. Maybe you've tried to mindset your way through it, right? Maybe you've tried to push your way through it, like bulldoze through your feelings. Maybe you've tried journaling to understand what the hell is going on. Maybe you've tried affirmations or motivational pep talks. But if your body tightens or collapses, like you just feel utterly exhausted whenever you think about taking the action that's going to get you towards your goal, then that's your nervous system bracing for impact. And you can't out affirm your way through a body that doesn't feel safe, not in the long run. You can't out launch a system that's in survival mode. What you can do is rebuild the foundation under your business so that when your body feels safe, your business gets to grow without collapsing, without the chaos, without having a massive crash afterwards. Now, nervous system work isn't about calming down or doing breath work every morning or having a ridiculously long morning ritual to get you in the zone. It's about creating real-time safety in your business and your body. It's about learning how to hold success in your body and your bank account. Because you're likely listening to this episode because you don't want a business that only works when you're hustling, right? You've done that, you've been there. We've all been there and we've all experienced the burnout as a result. You want a business that feels like freedom, that continues working even when you're off the grid, that doesn't crumble every time you slow down, that supports you when life happens and things get tough. And inside my coaching program, Rewired to Rich, you'll learn how to build a business that doesn't punish you for being human. Now, maybe you're here right now. Maybe you are making money, but you can't rest. You just can't allow yourself to rest. Maybe you're posting content, but it's not actually converting. Maybe you're in launch mode and you're already dreading the next launch because you're already feeling completely exhausted. You can feel that you're going to get sick and that you're going to crash. And what's the point? Like it's all just too hard. Maybe you're feeling completely maxed out. And it's okay to want a business that feels calm, that lets you breathe, that makes money while honoring who you are and your levels of energy. You don't have to earn rest, even though most of us are running some rules and conditions in our subconscious that would completely disagree with that statement. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to choose between making an impact and feeling safe. You don't have to white knuckle your way to overflow. There is a different way. So if you've been resonating with what I've been saying, if you're nodding along and you're like, oh yeah, I do that. If you're ready to learn how to build a business that supports your body and your bank account, book a call with me and we'll have a chat about Rewired to Rich. We'll figure out what's keeping your system in overdrive, what's preventing you from feeling safe about taking action. We'll rewire all those outdated rules and thoughts and all that programming that's preventing you from easily reaching your vision. And you'll learn how to rebuild your body and your business with calm, clean energy, because your nervous system is the business plan. Regulate that and your business will grow. Everything will change. Thank you so much for listening today.